Hi, and welcome back to another Intro to Janvas tutorial. Today we're going to learn about layers and why they're important. So, next slide. We have to understand the properties window, and that's kind of where creating layers is going to begin for us. But there's a lot going on in the properties window, but we'll get it all in no time. And then layers are important later because when you create more complex designs, you kind of want each feature on a different layer, so if you want to alter that feature, it doesn't alter everything else. So we're going to try adding a shape to a new layer. To do this, we're going to click the layer icon at the very bottom left of the properties window. It looks like 3 rectangles in different shades of gray. A new window will pop up and it'll look like this. So here's the layer window icon. You get this, and then we hit the plus sign and we can create and name new layers. So let's go do that. So here's our workspace. Let's start everything on a new layer. So layer 1, we can rename this large circle. And then I will create, I also like to move this over here and kind of move this closer over here just so I can see everything. And then we will create a large circle for that layer. Okay, then we can hit this plus sign and add more layers. So I'm going to call this small circle. Oops, too many L's. Small circle, and then I'll make a small one on top. Now, if I hit this button with the 2 rectangles with the down arrow, it's probably hard for you to see on your screen, but it's right here. See how my small circle layer moved from the top to the bottom? Now, it's behind the big circle. If I click the eye on the big circle, now I can see it because I just hid the big circle layer. It's still there. All I got to do is click the eye again, and the big circle comes back. If I want to move that layer back, I just hit the layer up button. Oops. Click on it and hit layer up. So that's that. And let me create one more just in case I need it later. I'll call this large square. And then we'll create a square on that layer. So now we have some different layers we can work with. Let's see what we want to try next. Okay, so renaming the the trash icon. So I have this highlighted. If I want to delete it, I just hit the trash icon and it goes away. That's pretty easy. And the reordering layers, we talked about that. Okay, so next, let's see. Okay, so next, this is just reminding you, I kind of already mentioned about reordering the layers and how if you put, the small circle behind the big one, it'll disappear. And then, so that's just to show you that the order of the layers matters. So you kind of want to think about what you want on top. So if you make like a, I don't know, like a puppy dog face and you want to put little spots on them, you're going to want those spots on the topmost layer, not underneath the face because they won't show up. Or facial features. So, and then we can use the white pointer to move the layers around. Only the objects that are on the layer we select will move. So I think you kind of already saw that. But if I use the white pointer and I have the small circle highlighted, then only that will be affected. If I want, I can click on the big circle and move that too. So layers are important because if you want to make a change, like color something, then only that thing on that layer will be colored or whatever your changes. Okay, so now this is kind of important. I used this feature a lot when I was making a logo one time. Object group. So if I click on the big circle, it turns blue to show I highlighted it, right? If I hold shift and click the small circle, now they're both going to be highlighted. So then I can go to the little lightning bolt icon that gives me some extra features, and I can select group. And then I can move those 2 things together as if they're on one layer, but they're really not. So it's just like putting them on one layer temporarily, and then if I select them again and go to ungroup, I can put them back on separate layers again. So let's try that. Okay, so to group these objects, what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight, you know, the small circle, and then hit shift and highlight the big circle. And then I just go up here and I say group. I don't know why that's saying that. But now if I move them, if I try to move the small circle, it moves the big one with it. So I've just created a group with these objects, and I could like resize it if I want together. And then I can say ungroup when that's highlighted. And now they'll be independent again. So I can move that around. Independent of the bigger circle. Could put it over here if I want. Oops, except it's hiding behind the large square. I'd have to reorder those layers, but anyway, you get the idea. We'll just move that back there. So that's grouping and ungrouping. Right, so, and transparency. I kind of want to touch on this because I use this feature a lot too. Because sometimes, like, I'll have, you know, several things layered up, and then, you know, I kind of need to see through the one layer to adjust something underneath it. So I turn the transparency down on the layers over top because sometimes I want to still see where that layer is. I don't want to necessarily hide it completely. So you might find use for this. All you do is you click on, here, move this down, and there's like this little bar right here. So let's see, is a large square on the top layer? Yeah. So say our large square is on top here, and let me just color it real quick. This is really going to be in a different tutorial, but if I pick a color for this square, I like purple. That's kind of purple, I guess. Then now it has some color to it, but I can't really see through to the circle now. So if I turn this transparency down, now I can see through to that circle layer, and if I wanted to work with these vector points here, I can do it through the square without like moving it. So, and then I can always turn the transparency of the square back up later if I want to. So that's the transparency feature. It's pretty easy. Next. Alright, and then I'll touch on a little bit about color, and you can experiment around with that. It's pretty easy. These little icons look a little confusing at first, like what do they mean? But once you get it, it's okay. So you're going to click in the white square and choose a color, and your shape will fill, as you just saw. You can fill the outline and leave the middle white or uncolored by choosing the frame icon. That's this one here. It looks like a picture frame. You can increase the thickness of the outline by going to stroke width up here and altering that. And you can reverse the outline fill colors by clicking on this icon right here. I'll show you in a minute. It looks like a double square with arrows. And then you can turn off a fill feature by choosing the strike through. And then you can reverse the strike by choosing a color or picking undo. So let's go back to Janvas. So if I hit this, it'll reverse the colors I have here and here. For this outline, let me click off the square. See how it has a black outline? If I want to make that outline thicker, I just go up to stroke width. Where was it? Oh, I think I gotta click on it first. And then I can go to stroke width here. Right now it's at 1. So if I increase that, and then you can even pick from down here too and get these different corners and stuff. You can do that. So now you see I made the outline thicker. If I want to not have the outline show at all, I can either pick maybe the same color for the outline so it doesn't look like it has one, or I can hit the strike through feature and it should go away. Oops. Oh, here we go. So hit the strike through and see how the frame goes away. Make sure you have that highlighted. That's why it didn't work the first time I did it. If you want to get rid of the strike through, just pick a color for the frame and you have the outline back. But if you don't want it, straight through. And then you can play around with these other features. I don't really know what this one does so much. I think it just creates a pattern on there or something. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that. But and then here's a gradient. I wonder if we can probably alter this gradient. Yeah, you can pick different colors here. So I mean, I haven't like explored every feature of this, but once you kind of get the basics, you can kind of be intuitive with it and be like, oh, okay. Let's see. Well, it looks like if we click on radial, it creates a radial design, but I don't know why it's not picking the colors when I change the color. Well, anyways, we'll leave this as a purple square for now and get rid of this hideous outline. Oops. We'll get rid of the outline. There, we'll make it a better color. Okay, and lastly, this is kind of a cool feature that I just recently discovered. If you click on this little box, it gives you like all these fonts you can pick from. That's kind of interesting. So I imagine you could click on one of these and then type with it or something. And then maybe we can change what that says. I'm not really going to talk about text right now. Interesting. But I'm sure there's a way to use that. But then so that was under font. There was like all these different ones. There's one for handwriting. So it shows you the fonts they have. I know there's a text icon up here. Then this little box icon, it has a bunch of like different, you know, pictures you can add to things that you create. There was like animals. So this is pretty neat. So you could like start with something and alter it or whatever. And then there were these gradients, but there's nothing in the library right now, so I'd have to figure out how to create some. But there should be like radial and linear, so I don't know what that's all about, but there are some patterns. So if I click on a shape, I can add like a pattern to it or something. So that's pretty cool. Just some fun options. So you guys can play around with that. Alright, so I guess that's all for our Janvas tutorial this time. Just try things out and have fun and see what works. And if you come across any cool ideas or features, or you try something out and you're like, wow, that's really cool, and you want to share that, put your discoveries in the discussion section of the course for me, and we'll all learn together. So anyway, thanks, and have fun creating in Janvas.